Three, two, one. Welcome to the Afterthought Sports Podcast. This is the very first podcast, episode 1. So I'm just getting the hang of things. And what I'm going to try and do is talk about the NFL, some sports betting lines, and various other sports talk, whatever is current in the news. And hopefully I'll be able to provide you with some interesting information and insights, and hopefully we can all have a good time on this podcast. So, getting right into it, the Milk Duds on the morning sports talk, we're talking about who's the greatest of all time. And they have LeBron up there, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, and a couple of them are vying pretty hard for Tom Brady. And for me, this is absolutely ridiculous because the cheating blemish is unforgivable. Not only has he been convicted of cheating, but also his team and his coach. So it's a culture of cheating at the Patriots, and it's not something I can overlook when we're going to have a conversation about greatest of all time. That's a very high mark to put on somebody. And, you know, best ever, yeah, we can talk about Brady being the best ever, but best ever in his position, in his sport, but greatest athlete of all time, you can't have a blemish like cheating associated with you. I mean, why do you think Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire aren't in the Hall of Fame? Because the other athletes know that that's not okay. And, you know, even if they juiced, they still had to have great athletic ability and put that bat on the ball. And, you know, it doesn't diminish them as baseball players because they juiced. But at the end of the day, when we're going to build statues, we're not building them of Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire. Let's look at it another way. Like, let's say you have a gorgeous significant other. They're everything that you want in life, and you're completely in love with them, and everything's going great. But then they cheat a little bit. Maybe they kiss somebody else. So that's okay. You know, you can probably get past that. But then it happens again. It happens multiple times, and finally they sleep with somebody else. So if you were going to talk about the greatest relationship of all time, would you use the significant other that was cheating on you multiple times? I don't think you'd put them in that conversation. You'd probably want somebody who was, you know, faithful. But that's beside the point. I mean, to each his own. Some people like open relationship. But to me, you can't put him on that pedestal of that highest echelon because some of the cheating's dirty. Cheating is dirty word in sports, and it is all over him and his coach and his team. And you know, as much as the media, the mainstream media, wants to talk it up and tell you how great the Patriots are, there's a lot of unexplored dirty behavior coming out of that camp. But moving on, this was a great week in the NFL. Tons of points scored, and you're seeing the emergence of great new young talent at all positions around the league, and it's just been really fun to watch this year. And that said, is part of that because of the new quarterback, the new quarterback protection rules, and what this actually turns the game into. And we see that now it is a ton of points, and that is fun to watch. But ultimately, as a purist, is that what's best for the game? Is that what's best for the NFL, is to eliminate all D? I mean, we're almost at the point where you might as well put a flag skirt on the quarterback and just call him down that way. And you know, yes, we do want to watch Tom Brady versus Mahomes, and we don't want to see either of those guys hurt. But on the other hand, more of it's done, I think, for marketing reasons, so they can trump up that matchup, because these days so much young talent comes out of college, and these guys are ready to play right off the bat. They're ready to play right away, and they're football ready. Look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Jared Goff. And the list goes on and on. You got Rosen starting. He looks serviceable. You got Darnold starting as a rookie, and he's looking all right. And, Deshaun Watson, all these, it's a young league at the quarterback position. And a lot of it is, the rule in itself is also applied subjectively, which is a little bit strange because it's not applied to, if you want to go down that identity politics trail, you could say that it's not applied to quarterbacks of color, really. And I think Skip Bayless tried to say, well, it's because they look like they can handle it more, and just because it's unfortunate that they're so athletic because, the ref doesn't want to call that penalty for them. But if you're Kirk Cousins, you get the flag every time because you look like some frail old man back there in the pocket. And I don't know that that's the way to go about things. Like, do we want to protect an aging Aaron Rodgers who's falling apart and injured upon injured upon injured and just say, oh, no one hit him because he's made of glass, but we love him? There's new kids coming out, and they're ready to play. They're ready to play. So instead of protecting these aging icons, I think, there's a natural order to football, and part of that natural order is the young bucks taking over these old men at their positions. And, Tom Brady can try and play to 45 or whatever he says he's going to do, but good luck with that. Have fun with that, Belichick. You two deserve each other. It's just, I don't know. A lot of times when you're seeing the flags, it doesn't feel honest. It doesn't feel honest. It feels like BS. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you see it, when it's for your team, and even when it's not for your team. A lot of times when that flag comes in, the first thought you have is, oh, come on. Oh, come on. And almost every single viewer is thinking, oh, come on. And we get it. We get it why. The investment you've put into these guys is huge. You have $100 million contracts with a lot of these players. But maybe the answer is maybe they don't deserve these $100 million contracts if they can't stay healthy. You look at a guy like Cam. Cam takes a beating, and still gets out there. And they don't throw that flag for Cam. They'll let you light Cam up or put your body weight on him. We'll see. We'll see how much they continue to enforce the rule evenly across the board as the season progresses. But then, but I guess I'm a little bit inflamed about it because you got like Colin Cowherd on there just like defending the rule. They've been given, you can see that on all their little Disney shows and Fox or whatever too, they've been given their marching orders that they're to defend this rule. And even player guys like Shannon and some of the other guys that played the game, that played football, you can see them they've changed their tune, and now they're even defending the rule. And they throw some little BS in front of it to try and like make it sound like they're still on the player side, but they know what's up. They know what's up. It degrades a certain part of the game of football. It absolutely does. The era is different, and I'm not trying to compare it to, John Elway just getting lit up 2-3 seconds after he threw a pass over and over and over back in the day. It's a different game now, but the same level of force should be able to be applied to all players. And to say that, the quarterback's the only one that has to think about things on the field is just not true. There's middle linebackers across the league that are just as smart as any quarterback and smarter than a lot of the quarterbacks that are starting in the league. So it's just that the media wants to darling these quarterbacks. And everyone wants to darling a quarterback through their whole life. So it's just kind of a little too ironic that now they have all these little rules protecting the little prima donna quarterbacks. So, the mainstream media is screaming about it and how it's such a great rule and how it's absolutely the right way to go. I don't know if that's absolutely true. Time will tell whether long-term this is best for the league. And if it does go this way long-term, we're going to see the continuation of all these high-scoring points. And the reason that all these Ds are getting burned is because, again, it's old-school philosophies. We have half the NFL running the same defense and only a couple teams running that defense well. And because and the new school defense is going to look much different. You're going to have huge defensive linemen, and you're going to have fast cover linebackers and cover secondary. You're going to be stacked at those positions, and you're going to have everyone's going to need to be able to cover quickness and speed, and a cover linebacker is going to become much more coveted than a run-stopping linebacker. You won't need a Ray Lewis anymore. You'll need a tweener hybrid. It's interesting because it's almost like the way the NBA is going, where you're getting positionless players. The defense will ultimately evolve into a positionless defense outside of the D-line, where you're having, great athletes of interesting sizes playing cross, he's a safety, he's a linebacker, he's a corner type things. We haven't seen it yet, but I believe that's where it's turning into and where it's going. And a lot of these defenses, so you can see some of the new school Ds kind of have this going on, but most don't, and that's why so many points are getting scored, is because you're playing old school defense built to stop the run, built to stop a high percentage of runs, and a lot of these coordinators and head coaches are spreading you out and getting some, and they're getting some all day. So it will evolve and it will change over time, but I don't know if that's potentially we'll see, but the rules definitely force it down one path. It doesn't give the sport a chance to naturally evolve and turn into what it should be organically. These new rules force it down a certain path, and that's what I'm most concerned about, is I'm not sure exactly where that path's going to end up. But in the meantime, fun to watch. Very fun to watch. So now we can basically get into some games here. I'm betting pretty regularly, and I'm in a pick'em league, and also suicide. And so I'm just trying to find the first game to start with here. So I figure we go through every game and look at what the line was, and then see, kind of talk through the game, and then set up for talking about the games next week. And ultimately what I'd like to do is get an interesting little betting thing going. If we can get any fans or get any viewers, I got some plans for y'all. It could be fun. Who was the first game of the day? Was it Arizona, Minnesota? I think it was. So this game was Minnesota minus 10, and 43.5 was the over/under. And Minnesota minus 10 at home. Arizona looked terrible coming into this, and the game turned out to be a push because it was 27-17. So it's a push, and then it went over. It was 44 points, so half a point over. Man, this is a game where Josh Rosen, I mean, he was efficient. He was 21 of 31 for 240, no touchdowns. Nothing else really sticks out. Cardinals look like they do. They don't have very much talent. Kirk looks nice, targeted 7 times for 6 catches. Seals Jones, 2 targeted 6 times for 5 catches. Larry Fitz targeted 8 times for 5 catches. So, and funny enough, Larry Fitz's dad was tweeting during the game when they take out Larry in the red zone. And I think you want Larry in the red zone, unless he can't catch anymore, which he looked like he was still snagging balls down. So I don't know. If you want Larry Fitzgerald on the field anywhere, I feel like it's in the red zone. So I got to agree with the Pops, You got to have Larry in the game there. This is also a game where Kirk Cousins came out pumped and gave a super rowdy pregame. He came out, his voice was cracking. We're going to do this! And he was really getting them pumped because Vikings have had a couple rough games early on, and it it feels like they're still trying to find their identity as an offense all the way, and they really haven't done that yet. But Cousins was getting them rallied. He was getting them going, getting ready for this game. And he had a good game. He was 24-34 for 233, a touchdown and a pick. Who I really liked was Murray. Murray is a big boy running back, and he was running the ball with some force. I think he gave a stiff arm and put somebody in their place, I remember. But 24 carries for 155 and a touchdown. And also a couple catches for 3 yards or something. But he was really the driving force behind that offense. He was making plays and getting yards when and how they needed it, and really it was all day Minnesota. You could see the deficiency in the Arizona Cardinals when you watched the game. It was a clearly higher echelon team against a lower echelon team, and I was surprised that the Cardinals hung in it as well as they did and got that touchdown at the end. I'm sure a ton of people lost money on that, where they were about to win and cover, and then that fourth quarter touchdown just so close. That's about it for that game. There's not much going on there. So then the next game would be the Buffalo Bills and the Texans. And let's talk about Josh Allen for a minute. This kid wants to come out and play. Josh Allen wants to come out and play, and Josh Allen wants to win. And apparently he is asking Kelvin Benjamin before the game to come out, let's throw the ball around, let's warm up a little bit, get in sync. Kelvin Benjamin was like, go fuck yourself, I'm doing my pregame ritual where I listen in my Beats headphones or whatever to Drake, and then that's how I'm going to catch all these balls. And Josh Allen's like, come on, let's throw a couple. And, you could say this is a job, and this isn't like, this is all grown men going to their job, and they work on these routes at practice and everything. But apparently it's not enough. If you look at your season, Kelvin Benjamin, it hasn't been enough. Practice, you need more practice. Talk about practice. So I'm on Josh Allen. I'm with Josh Allen, man. You get out there and get warmed up. Let's get this going on. He's a rookie. He's trying to find his place with the team. He's trying to find his place in the NFL. He's trying to figure out if he can even do this job. And, man, he wants to play catch with you a little bit. Come on, help the rookie out, man. It's just bad teammate. But whatever. I get it, though. Everyone's got to do their own thing. So this game was minus 10 Houston, and 40.5 was the over-under. So it was predicted to be not that high scoring of a game. And the final was Buffalo and the under. This is a game you can't win betting. The only people that would bet this game this way is Bills Mafia. And that's not the rest of us. No one should have been betting this game. No one should have been betting this game, the Bills and the under. And if you did, congratulations, Bills Mafia. Another funny moment in this game was Clowney tackled Chris Ivory by like a single dreadlock, pretty much. And you can find that clip on YouTube, I'm sure. But it was pretty epic. Drug him down by one single dread. So Josh Allen also had to come out of this game at a point with an injured arm. We don't know exactly the extent of what happened, but Peterman came in, throws a touchdown. The Peterman, the pick master, which I don't even know how this dude still has a job after. But apparently, he's improving. He came out and threw TDs. Said Shady had a pretty good game, 16 for 73. Still no touchdowns, though. This is beginning of the end for the Shady McCoy, which is unfortunate. I still thought he had one more good year in him, but it looks like this is the beginning of the end for old Shady. Deshaun Watson on the other side had a pretty good game as well. He 15 and 25 for 177. Really what holds the Texans together is Hopkins. He's so nasty, and he snags everything that they throw at him and pulls down and pulls it down when he needs to. And the spinning runs and such is just ridiculous. He again is a factor better than everyone else. I think if you watched on the Hard Knocks, it was I forget who it was, some old dude on Washington talking trash to him, and he came out and juked him and literally broke the dude's knee. Like the dude went down with an injury just trying to guard him. And it seems like that in the games when you watch these games. He's maybe the most clutch receiver in the NFL. That's what a top-tier receiver looks like. And then, getting into the game, Josh Allen got swag. He has that, he's got that big dick energy. He gets out there and he looks like he's ready to go down there and win. And it's unfortunate that the Bills are kind of fucking terrible. Their defense is just – the Bills' D – I don't think the Bills' D has talked about enough about how nasty it is. It is one of the top 3 defenses in the NFL right now. And I think if they can get their offense in any sort of order and working, they're going to win a bunch more games this year. But right now, I'll take the Bills' D any day. I'm taking the Bills or the Ravens' D as my number 1 and number 2 Ds in the NFL right now. The Bills shut it down on everybody, and they shut down Hopkins as well as you can hope to shut him down. He only caught 5 balls for 63 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good for shutting Hopkins down. And then Watkins threw a terrible pick coming into the half. And this is kind of what we've been seeing from him is he'll have flashes of incredible playmaking, and then on the next possession make a totally boneheaded throw. And he's very hot and cold right now. And I don't know if that's a football IQ thing, because I'm sure Bill O'Brien's trying to teach him best he can. And O'Brien's got it going on offense too. And it just seems like Houston should be performing a little bit better than they have been, but that's not to say that they won't continue to pick it up because they're looking better and better each week. So that's really the gist of that game. I mean, there was kind of a lot going on as far as Josh Allen coming in and out, Peterman coming in and throwing the touchdown was unexpected. But the rest of it was pretty status quo from what we know the Bills to be and what we know the Texans to be. I was hoping to see a little bit more out of Sean Watson for the game, but I mean it is the Bills D that I just talked up, so he didn't do bad against the Bills D. He was 15-25 for 177, which is about what anybody's doing against the Bills D. The next game is Washington versus Carolina, and this game was +1 Washington at home and 44.5 for the over and under. So it all washed out. It was the under, because it was 40 points, and Washington was the correct bet. And I liked Washington at home for this game. I felt like they've won a couple games, and they're coming back home, and Panthers on the road. It's kind of here or there. And Alex Smith is, he's more than a game manager. You want to label Alex Smith as a game manager. This guy graduated college early. I think he graduated at 19, and he was in the NFL before he was even 21. He came out early, essentially, but still had a full college education. He still graduated, but came out early. I guess you can't really do both of those things, but he took extra course load to graduate early, essentially. And he's been in the league a long time, and he's seen, you talk about guys that have seen it all. Alex Smith's pretty much seen it all now, and he looks pretty calm and composed back there and looks like he's gelling with Jay Gruden's offense. One of the big turning points of this game was that the Panthers fumbled right away. They came out and turned the ball over right away, and that was just detrimental to their team for the game, basically. That really turned the tide of the whole first quarter. And they went right down. Redskins went right down and scored. And Adrian Peterson looked nice. You got Alex Smith, 21 of 36 for 163 and 2 touchdowns. It's efficient. He scored when he had to and completed passes when he had to. You got all day, 17 carries for 97 yards. He's still got juice in him. And then Washington's hitting their tight ends all day. You got Vern and Reed. That's who Alex Smith's looking to complete passes to, and he's doing it. And watching the game and how they had to fight a little bit in this one, it made me kind of almost wonder: are the Redskins the best in the NFC East? Are they the best in that division right now? You have you have an offense that's scoring the ball. You have a nice defense. Adrian Peterson's just as consistent and steady as can be so far. And you have a quarterback that's not going to throw picks, who's not going to turn the ball over, who's not going to make dumb reads or make dumb mistakes. We'll see on Washington. I feel for the Washington fans because they have a hard time, man. So maybe this is a season where you guys are going to win your division finally, huh? Maybe not, though. And then DJ Moore's fumbling. DJ Moore's fumbling on Carolina really killed the Panthers too. They fumbled early and often, and that was really the name of this whole game. Was turnovers for Carolina killed them, and that's what kept Washington in the game because straight up Carolina probably is a better team on paper, but Washington's solid now. That's what I mean. It's like a well-baked cake. It's not the fanciest cake, but it's just, straight up chocolate cake. It tastes good. I think that they're kind of my sleeper pick of the NFC. I like Washington. That said, from Carolina's side, Funchess is a true number one. That man can catch the football. He's a red zone threat. He's nasty with it. And targeted 8 times for 5 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. Greg Olsen back for the Carolina as well, and also Thomas Davis back also from suspension. So that they had a little reunion on their squad, which was nice for them. Olsen got 7 targets for 4 catches. McCaffrey 8 targets for 7 catches. It was just the Panthers' offense doesn't have that pop. Every time I'm watching, I'm waiting for a big play to happen or somebody to break one. They don't have that guy. That guy's not on that. Cam was that guy earlier on, but as he ages, he can't continue to be that guy that's going to take off and try and run at 80 yards or whatever. It's just it can't. You can't be doing that anymore. And they need to find some other – McCaffrey, we're not going to call McCaffrey a weapon necessarily, but he's nice. He's this new school kind of NFL back, which I think you're going to see a lot more McCaffrey types in the future where it's a starting third down back is what it actually is, where back in my day, you used to have you'd have your big back that was going to run between the tackles on first and second down, and then you'd bring in your third down back, who was this speedy guy that could catch it. You could pitch it to him. You could sweep. One of my favorites was Napoleon Kaufman on the Raiders. As a kid watching, I'd get excited when Kaufman was going to get in the game because I knew something was going to happen, and usually he delivered. He would run for 20. And I think that kind of reminds me of that Christian McCaffrey type where I think there's going to be a lot more of these guys that can run and catch, these kind of tweener backs where they're the Reggie Bush type. I feel like Reggie Bush was maybe a little bit ahead of his time, and if he got drafted next year, it might be a different story for Reggie Bush's career. But so back to Carolina, Washington. Josh Norman, he was really pumped. He came out and made a couple big plays like he never does. Well, and it was good to see. I felt good for him playing well because he got paid and he got his money, and usually plays so awful. And the fact that he did play well against a team that he wanted to play well against and prove that he deserved his money and all that, I felt good for him. So, congratulations on the good game, Josh and Norman. Have more of those if you can. And the bulk of Carolina's offense during the game is they targeted Dunbar in Washington. They didn't throw it. They didn't want to throw at Norman because he was playing up. So they picked on their other corner the whole time. So it was kind of a boring offense to watch, honestly. They were trying to pick on a guy on one side, and they were kind of getting it done, but it was whatever. What did stick out is how badass Washington's kicker is. Watkins can kick, this kid. He blasted a 56-yarder like nothing. 3 for 3 on field goals. And this really, it feels like these teams that don't have a kicker, why? Why do you not have a kicker? There has to be, worldwide, there has to be plenty of people that can place kick. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like if you got stuck with a terrible kicker, you didn't give it the effort you needed to give it to find a good kicker, because it sets a lot of these teams apart. You know, when you're 40 yards out and you come down, it was better kicking back in the day when teams used to come down, they'd get a 40-yard field goal. It was most of the time automatic with most of the kickers. These days, wow, who knows? The extra point could be missed. Extra points don't feel automatic a lot of times. A lot of times they'll score, and you'll think, oh, man, they got to kick, they kick it past 30, so everything's off the table or on the table. But, yeah, Watkins can kick, man. And the thing that stuck out at the very end of this game was Cam couldn't get it done at the end. He came down, and they had a chance to win, and Carolina had a chance to win, and they came down, and it just sputtered, and the offense looked kind of like I was saying. It looked like they didn't have weapons, and it looked like no one knew how to go score the football. They need a guy that knows how to go score the football, where he wants the ball every time it's in that situation, because he knows how to go score the football, and they don't have that guy. So that's it for there. The next game let's talk about is the Bears versus the Miami Dolphins. And this game was Miami was the home dog +7, and 40.5 over and under. So this game was, Miami's the big home dog because the Bears have been playing pretty good recently. And stat-wise, you can look at them and put them up against the NFL elites. Like, if you really wanted to cherry-pick some stats, you can go, oh, you look, the Bears have comparable stats to Kansas City and, the Rams, and which they do, but it's kind of disingenuous stats on some level, because we've watched the Bears play and we kind of know what that is. And I actually had Miami. I had picked Miami in this game, and then when I heard Osweiler was going to start, I said, "Oh shit!" and I ran and I changed to the Bears. I was like, "They're fucked," Osweiler's coming in. This is not going to go well for Miami, and I thought I had easy money switching it to the Bears. That was really wrong. Really, really wrong. Because the correct bet was the over and Miami. They put up 59 points in this game, and Miami was ready to go. Brock Osweiler was ready to go. The Inconvenient Truth was ready to go. And last but not least, Albert Wilson was ready to go. So this game starts, and Osweiler comes down, scores a touchdown. And it's like, what? And then it turns defensive for the most part. I mean, Chicago's got a nice nice running game going on. Cohen looks strong and fast, man. The Bears line looks good. When the Bears line looks amazing. Their running backs look amazing. Mitchell Trubisky looks like shit. Looks like absolute shit. This guy, I don't know how the fuck he's a quarterback. Like I'm sorry for cursing, but it makes me a little mad when I think about it. The Bears are never going to win anything with Mitchell Trubisky. They might win a few more games this year, but he's a playoff loser and a Super Bowl never. This guy he looks like a meathead out there. He shouldn't be a quarterback. It absolutely feels like at some point a team didn't have a quarterback and they were like, hey, Mitch, come over here. You chuck this ball really far? Mitch is like, yeah. Trubisky. I throw it over here. And he chucks it. And they're like, oh, look, Mitch, he throws it pretty far. All right, you're a quarterback, Mitch. And he just kind of was such a great athlete that no one's been able to unseat him. But this man is not a quarterback. I'm sorry, Bears fans. But if you want to put your faith in Mitchell Trubisky, good luck with that. And enjoy your hopes being crushed every time that it's on the line, man. Like, this guy's never going to win. I don't even know where he went to college, honestly. Like, I can't even think of it. I know it's some random school, but I don't even know if he was a winner in college. He strikes me as one of those Cutler types that, was a loser in college and loser in the NFL. Losers lose. And I like quarterbacks who are winners, I like guys that won in high school, won in college, and then when they get to the NFL, a lot of them, they win, Yeah, watching Trubisky is just ugly. It feels like it must be, to be on the Bears, it must feel like Mitchell Trubisky is like the boss's son you're working for, or something to that effect. Like, how is this guy in control of this powerhouse team? And it's because he's got some inside connect and you can't question him or something. It's not like that at all in Chicago, but that's kind of what I imagine it must feel like. But the really back to the game. I digress. Back to the game. So how this the turning points of this game were turnovers. Howard turned the ball over. Cohen turned the ball over. You can't turn it over. It was only 14-7 in the third. And then before Chicago just went on this huge tirade of point scoring. But before that, it was a pretty ugly game on Chicago's side. They were not protecting the ball. You have tons of dump-offs and screens is basically the offense. But on the Miami side, Holy Osweiler, he was taking some risks and putting some. He threw the ball 44 times for 383 touchdowns and 2 picks. He was 28 of 44. So it's an Osweiler-like performance. I mean, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks is about what you can expect from him. But you had Frank Gore was in there doing work. Frank Gore is the inconvenient truth because how old is he now? 53 years old? Frank Gore is 53 years old, and he gets in there and does work. 15 attempts for 101 yards with a long of 32. Longest run of any running back on the team. Get the fuck out of here. He also caught a pass for 18 yards. Shout out Frank Gore. And then the other guy that really stood out on Miami was Wilson, man. Albert Wilson was putting on the yak yards like unbelievable. He was a star. Is he a star now in the NFL after this game? If he does this, if he can do this in back-to-back weeks, he's a star after this. Absolutely. He was a star at his college, Georgia State Panthers. He's one of their heroes there. He still has all times of school records there. Shout out Georgia State Panthers. In this game, wow, it looked like Miami was going to wrap it up, and then they fumble on the goal line in overtime. And everyone just, it sucked the wind out of everybody. But, of course, then Mitchell gets the ball back. So, you got a chance. You're like, fuck, we're getting it back to Mitch. All right, we got a chance to get this ball back. That's exactly what happened. Miami comes down, kicks a huge field goal for the win. Sorry, Bears. And it's always tough for a team. You're in a big cold city like Chicago, and then you come all the way down south to Miami where it's hot and humid, and it's almost like an environment shock when you go down there. It's so much nicer than, besides the heat, there's just palm trees and women and all the nice aesthetic things in life to look at in Miami. And fun to go out in Miami as well. That's a little trap for a lot of teams when they go down there. But I don't think that's what happened in this one. What happened in this one is Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears running backs turn the ball over. Sorry, Bears. So the next game is the Colts and the Jets. And the Jets were at home, and they're favored by 2.5. And the over-under was 47.5. And the correct bet on this one was the over and the New York Jets. 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 Darnold stares down. He stares hard down at that receiver he's going to throw it to. I couldn't help but think watching, stare hard, Darnold. Who you going to throw it to? I'm going to throw it to that guy right there. Because, man, he's really staring him down. That said, he winged it in there. He was throwing some strikes, and he was making completions. That's for sure. Andrew Luck, and then so it was saying the Colts. I don't know what to say about the Colts. They came down, and there was an early turnover, and that really changed the game, I think, too. The early turnovers changed momentum so much, where Indy came out and turned the ball over right away, and that gave the Jets a quick touchdown, and they were invigorated from that point. And that momentum carried them through to the victory, I felt like. I mean, watching the game, if it would have gone bad for them initially, I don't know if the Jets, claw back. I don't know if they're that kind of team yet. They're a run-oriented squad, and they can run the ball, man. So it's nice to have Luck back in the league, too, to the point of quarterbacks being hurt, Andrew Luck, being able to see Andrew Luck play is nice, where, he is, to me, one of the perfect archetype of what a quarterback should be, measurables, mechanics, feet in the pocket, decision-making. Before the Colts sold him out and, fucked over his career, I'd taken Andrew Luck over almost anybody, on different teams. So it's nice to see him back. It's nice to see him throwing the football. He had 3 picks, 23-43, 301, 4 TDs. He doesn't have any receivers. He completed a pass to a ton of different guys, and he's looking. You got Z Pascal has 7 attempts. Ebron has 7 attempps. C Rogers 10 attempts. Do you even know who any of those guys are? I just said, that's 24 attempts to 3 names where I don't even think anybody listening knows the first name of any of those guys. So that's what Luck's working with, and still he put up 34 points against a pretty decent Jets D. But yeah, Jets came out. That turnover invigorated them, and Jets can run the ball, and that's what they did. They started running the ball. Darnold hit the guys when he needed to. He threw strikes, even though he was staring them down hard. And the Jets kicker, man. The Jets kicker can kick as well. He's another guy where they got it sorted. 7 for 7 on field goals with a long of 48, 3 of 3 on extra points for 24 points. This guy got 24 points. This guy got the Jets. He's the hero of the Jets. Did I even say his name? This guy's the hero. Myers. Jay Myers. Yeah, and just Indy's a personnel disaster. I don't know. They've been talking about rebuilding. It seems like they've been rebuilding for 5 years. So I don't even know what's the story with the Colts. I don't know what they're trying to do, what type of team they're trying to create. I don't understand what they're building, really. Yeah, and the one bright spot on the Colts is Andrew Luck, but yeah. Sorry, Colts fans. At least you'll get a high pick. So hopefully you guys draft well. You have that to look forward to. But overall, the rookie Darnold looked good. He looked like he had command of his team. Looks like his team's behind him. The Jets are about playing, I think, about as well as they can play. They have a lot of lacking things on offense. They could use a weapon. They could use an offensive weapon. A guy knows how to score a touchdown too. Same problem as Carolina, kind of, where they don't have anybody that really has a nose for that end zone. Next game let's talk about is the Chargers and the Browns. And it was Cleveland -1 at home and 47 over and under. And we all wanted the Browns to win so bad. We wanted Baker Mayfield to be good. If you have a soul, you wanted Baker Mayfield to be good. No, that's not true. I guess you can be a Baker Mayfield hater. I don't know why though. The kid's is, he's a scrounging. He's a bootstrap. He's clawing his way up. He's getting starts, making good decisions. He's winging it in there. Let's go, Baker. 22 of 46, 238 and a touchdown. It's not great. Two interceptions. It's not great, but he's a rookie, He's a rookie. What do you want from your rookie? Especially when how trash the Browns O is, minus Landry. They are trash, and at a glance, you see how trash it's going. Looking at the statistics of the game, it begs some larger questions from the Browns offense. Like, are your plays sound? Or does your coordinator know what he's doing? Who's calling your plays? We have, Callaway targeted 10 times, 2 receptions. D. Johnson Jr. at the running back, five targets for 4 catches because he's coming out of the backfield. D. Ratley, wide receiver, 8 targets, 6 catches. Noku, 12 targets, 7 catches. Landry, 9 targets, 2 catches. You have 2 guys that you targeted 20 times and you got 4 catches out of it. That's out of control. And one of them is your best receiver on the whole team. And instead you're having to check down to – you can see what happened. The coverage rolls to Landry. They still try and force it in anyways, but they can only get him, 2 catches out of 9. But Ratley's open instead, so you hit him 6 times, and Noku's open. But it doesn't look good in there. It doesn't look good at all. The rushing game was not good. Carlos Hyde for 14 attempts for 34 yards. The longest run of the day was 23-yarder. Nick Chubb broke almost a 20-yarder. It did not look good for the Browns, though. They look like trash. Their D kept them in the game the whole game, every game the rest of the season. That's the story of the Cleveland Browns. Is their D is an elite level defense that will keep even the Browns offense in a game, and that is a high praise because you can't say that about a lot of teams. Defense, Mayfield's on point decision making. You see how rough it is for him back there. He looks, he's got nothing. He tries to tuck in and get through that pocket. It just collapses around him. And I saw that happen multiple times where you could tell he dropped back, nothing, and then it would just collapse around him. On the other side of the ball, though, L.A. Chargers, Phillip Rivers just quietly making babies and racking up passing yards and passing touchdowns. Chargers are contender this year, I think. I think they have a lot of guys you don't talk about that are high-level NFL player. Keenan Allen is nasty. That man will catch whatever. And Phillip Rivers knows it and puts the ball on him. Phillip Rivers, he's been doing this job second nature to him for his whole career almost. And it's funny, if you go back to Washington State too, he broke all the records there and was passing. He's been doing it. If anybody's known how to quarterback since the womb, it's Phillip Rivers. And he comes out and does it every time. He's consistent. And there's a bunch of crazy stats associated with Phillip Rivers if you want to go check him out how many passing yards he has compared to other NFL quarterbacks in the last. Compare him whenever. You can compare Phillip Rivers however and whenever you want to whoever you want, and he'll hold up. And if anybody's deserving of a Super Bowl, it's this guy. He's just a fuddy-duddy, okey-doke. He doesn't curse. He's the type of guy that doesn't know any of the black guys' names on the team. He just calls them by their numbers. Come on, 2-6. Come on, 2-6. Let's go. Let's go. But that doesn't mean Phillip Rivers is racist. He's just that kind of guy. He probably doesn't know half the guys on his team's names. He's just like a country bumpkin kind of. But man, that guy can spin it. And they got guys that can catch, and they got guys that can run the football. Melvin Gordon III, 18 attempts for 132 yards, 3 touchdowns. Melvin Gordon had 3 touchdowns. Phillip Rivers throws another 2. Antonio Gates is still out there catching passes, 1 for 5 yards. But we have Williams. Williams is nasty too. Opposite Keenan, he's going to come out and pull down passes all day. He scored the other two catches from Rivers. And the Chargers, as they fall, the Chargers have such a solid offense. That's, it's Phillip Rivers' offense. So that thing's just going to get better and better as the season goes on and the guys fall into it. They're all catching up to him. And unfortunately, historically, San Diego has never spent that much money on their team. And that's really been the problem always. So they're sure as shit not spending money now that they're here in L.A. because they play at the soccer stadium, if you didn't know. They play where the L.A. Galaxy play is their stadium. It only seats 30 or 40,000 or something, I think. So they don't have any money to spend, and still we're like, are the Chargers going to go deep? Chargers going deep? Phillip Rivers going to put them on them? Put a good defensive coordinator with Phillip Rivers, go win a Super Bowl. Shit. Phillip Rivers doesn't give a shit. He'll go. He won't say shit either. He'll I don't give a poo. We're about to go put it on y'all. He's going to throw a touchdown. Yeah, but that's how. So the correct bet on this one, if we skipped that, was the L.A. Chargers and the over. They scored 52 points, and it was 47 was the over. The next game was the Steelers-Bengals. And, man, I had the Bengals in this one, and I really thought they were going to win at home. I thought there was the way they've been playing and getting everyone healthy, I thought there's no way they're losing this one again because they get their ass whipped at home by the Steelers every time. The Steelers come into the jungle every time and spank that ass. Spank that ass hard, and Marvin Lewis just takes it. He just takes it every time, and he doesn't game plan well enough for the next one, obviously. Obviously, you keep getting played by the same team and the same coach and running the same shit, and they spank that ass in your house every single time. What the fuck is going on? So the correct bet so this game was Cincinnati minus 1.5 at home, which I liked. I love that line. Cincinnati 1.5 at home against Pittsburgh and their non-existent defense. And the over-under is 49.5. So the correct bet was the under in Pittsburgh because they only scored 49. So, I mean, maybe you had a different line depending on who you go with. So these guys hate each other too. These teams hate each other. And There's always violence. There's always Vontae's got up again. Vontae, you better keep your head on a swivel when Vontae's comes in. If you're on the offense, Vontae's gonna fuck somebody up. You can fine him. You can suspend him. You can put Vontae's in jail. But when you put Vontae's on the field, he's gonna fuck someone up, and you best recognize that. You best motherfucking recognize Vontae's. Just saying. But yeah, these guys hate each other. Vontae's put one on somebody, and that always happens in this game, though. So Mixon looks nice. Andy Dalton. So Andy Dalton will look nice. You'll be like, yes, no. And that's kind of what it's like to watch Andy Dalton, where he's nice, and then he'll just do something where you're like, what are you doing? Were you praying to Jesus on that one, Andy? And he's slaying it around a bit. He's typical Andy Dalton, 26 of 42 for 229. No picks, but he's 26 of 42 against an awful Steelers defense. An awful Steelers defense. The Steelers defense had the entire soul sucked out of it when Shazier got hurt. When Shazier got hurt, all the defensive energy of the football gods sucked out all their players and into Shazier, and they took it off the field with him. And also quit walking his ass onto the field and talking about how he's going to come back to play football again. That shit's fucked up, man. Like, we all saw that and saw him, grab at his back and shit, and you wanted to look away from the TV when you saw it. No one wanted to see that. And the fact that he's walking again, hallelujah. So good for you, Shazier, and amazing, man. But you're never playing again, bro. You are never playing again, and if we saw you in pads again, it would be horrific. I would be so worried I wouldn't be able to watch. I wouldn't be able to watch you in pads again. I couldn't do it. And that's unfortunate. But what is fortunate is that you can walk, man. You can walk. But bringing him back onto the field doesn't bring that energy back onto the field. It does exactly the opposite. And the Steelers' defense is over until they bring in new young energy that revitalizes that shit. It's unfortunate that that's what destroyed their defense, because what a terrible way for it to go down. But that's where it is now. So, yeah, Andy Dalton's struggling against a garbage defense. Just garbage D. He's barely getting it done, Looking at A.G. Green 12 times for 7 catches, 85 yards, no touchdowns. It's just, you don't have a good feeling when you watch Andy Dalton on a drive. You think, you have the feeling you're like, he should go score. You see the weapons around him, A.J. Green, shit. You should score, but then when he doesn't, you're not very surprised. You're like, well, okay. In this game was a defensive, hard-hitting game through most of the game. It was tied 14-all in the third, and it was back and forth all day. And who stood out in that was really James Conner doing work. We're at 19 carries, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging almost 6 yards a carry. It was old school. It was blue collar. He got in there and grinded it. It was really Steelers-like. He epitomized what it meant to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, and has been this whole season. Blue-collar guy doing blue-collar work in place of a blue blood. So, shout out James Conner. And then at the end, Andy Dalton puts one together. They go down. They score. Looks like it's wrapped up, right? It's wrapped up. You got the lead. You got the lead right at the end. You're going to win. There's only a little bit of time left. Enough time, though. I had the feeling as soon as they got the ball, like, ooh, Roethlisberger's got enough time to go get in field goal range. That's all. Ultimately, that's all they had to do. While the Antonio Brown touchdown at the end of the game was amazing, all they really need to do is get in field goal range. Antonio Brown, 5 catches, 105, and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster, 7 catches, 111. Wow, you're seeing two receivers with over 100 yards receiving. If Ben can get this going all year like this, I don't know, though. I don't think Steelers can win an AFC championship or Super Bowl with the defense that they have. Everything I just said, I don't think their defense has it in it, which is a shame because always Pittsburgh should have an iconic D. And I kind of blame Tomlin on that. Like, not that anything could have been predicted, because the reason I stand by what I said, that I think their D is decimated now almost through a form of witchcraft, where terrible events have robbed the energy from the defense. And, you know, there's probably logical managerial decisions behind why the D is terrible as well, but it is what it is. But yeah, this game came down to, of course, the Antonio Brown touchdown at the very end of the game. Pittsburgh's losing. They're down by a point, and they need to get in field goal range. It's not looking great. And then Ben completes one to AB, and he pops through and takes it to distance, just like he does, the alien. Antonio Brown, I don't know. I don't really follow his social media or any of that stuff where he's always talking shit, so I'd rather just watch him play. But that's it for this game. The next game, the Raiders and the Seahawks. Oh, Raiders. So they went to London. First it was Oakland was home, right? Even though Seattle got to London before Oakland, so they were more rested and acclimated to the time change. So it really wasn't a home game from Oakland, but they were home dog +3, and the over-under was 48. So the correct bet was Seahawks and the under. It was only 30 points, 27-3 Seahawks. And the Seahawks, they stomped the Raiders. And it really wasn't a fun game to watch. It was really, really boring, and a lot of Seahawks running the ball. They looked to be a full factor better of a football team than the Raiders. It was like a JV playing a varsity, which is just, it's unfortunate if you've been a Raiders fan here, because they had a nice team built under Del Rio. Del Rio had put together a nice winning football team, and they were a team prepped to go deep into the playoffs. And the nation was excited. The nation was excited about all our new players. We had a squad. We had, Carr, Cooper, Crabtree. We got Khalil Mack on D. We have, we got a full-fledged football team starting to shape up here. But then things change. Then we hear, Del Rio's fired. We're like, at first, if you're part of the nation, you say, Del Rio's fired? What? He was our guy. We had nasty deep. Why? And then you hear, we're getting John Gruden back. You go, oh, shit. Baby Chucky's going to come home. Going back to the Super Bowl, just like the good old days. Back to the Super Bowl. And then you hear, Gruden signed a 10-year, $100 million guaranteed contract. And you're, whoa, okay. Gruden for 10 years. I like that. That's how you put together a winning team. That's how you want a stable coach and a stable system in there. And I like that. Like Gruden do his thing. But then everything starts. And then you realize, there's a different agenda in place here. And you're like, we're moving to Vegas. We're moving to Vegas. We're not even I don't even know if the stadium's built yet. Like, are we going to have a place to play? Does the owner really want to spend money in a transition year? And is it better to, in this transition year where we're going to suck, just, fire sale the team and acquire as many picks and stuff as you can? So, and then it kind of dawns on you. Everyone's hating on Gruden, but I think they've misunderstood the situation. The Raiders are tearing down and getting ready to move. And Gruden is what are their names in Office Space? The Bobs. Gruden's the Bobs. Like, so, Amari Cooper, what would you say it is you do here? He's like, I'm good with the fans. And, no, you're not, Amari. So we see Khalil Mack say, I want $90 million. Gruden's like, shit, that's almost as big as my contract. And then Khalil's like, and then they ask Mark Davis. Mark Davis is like, we don't have $40 million liquid to give you Khalil Mack right now in a transition year. And that's the thing. A lot of these guys, like Khalil Mack, did the best thing for himself and probably should be thanking the Raiders. He's going to have a richer, well-received career in Chicago. They will love him in Chicago better than the Oakland fans, I think. And he won't have to go through this transition year because that's what's about to happen. When the Raiders move to Vegas, like the team's in the shitter, No one plays well in transition years, and that's what it looks like. So as Gruden, as a Bob coming in, all right, so you got a 10-year plan ahead of you. So you're taking over this other team, and they may or may not have good talent. But what's afforded to you in the next 2 years, so you have this year, the year before the transition year, and then the next year when they're transitioning, and then the year after that is when you're finally settled. So 3 years from now is when Gruden can realistically start to implement and have his own team. So the next 3 years aren't even like, it's just him cutting the fat and it's so from a GM standpoint, do you want to carry on the contracts and this prime talent through a period where there's going to be extended losing? Pockets wise, like, do you want to pull money out of your pocket? Like, is it? And the nation historically doesn't give a shit if we win or lose. The Raider Nation is going to buy merch. And they're going to make money on merch. They like to say that the Raiders don't make that much money or whatever. The Raiders make $1 billion a year at least on merch. So, we see the team getting torn down and Gruden gathering assets for his master plan when they move to Vegas. That he could give a shit about this year, and he could give a shit about next year too. Honestly, he's going to grab these picks. But so. Looking at it, best case scenario, we're looking at it like this. We already got 2 first-round picks from Mac, right? And then on top of that, we're going to tank this year. The Raiders are tanking this year. So if they tank, they'll get a top-round pick as well. So now you have 3 really nice picks coming up. And then if they tank the next year as well, you're going to have 2 super high first-round picks, 2 picks from the Bears, and whatever else Gruden can gather on fire sale. Fire sale Mark Cooper and whoever else. He's really going to strip the team down fully, I believe, and get as many picks as he possibly can. And then in like 2.5, 3 years' time, he's going to be sitting there with like 7 or 8 first-round picks and first and second and third-round picks, and he's just going to be able to go wild building his team that he wants to build. And if you're part of the nation, expect that. Don't expect us to be going to the playoffs for 3 to 5 years from now. It was a good run while it lasted, though. So, but back to the game. It was just domination by the Seahawks the whole time. They ran the ball well. Russell Wilson did his thing. 17 to 23, 222, 3 touchdowns and a pick. He only missed 6 passes all day. Looking at Doug Baldwin 8 times for 6 catches for 91 yards. Russell Wilson's my inconvenient truth. I tell you what, I never thought that guy should be any good, and I still don't believe it somehow. And he continues to prove me wrong. So, but I continue to not believe. What does that mean? So our next game, let's move on from the Raiders. Next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons, and it was Atlanta at home. Atlanta was only favored -3 at home, and that's because they also have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, like up next to like the Steelers and some of these others. And the over-under was 57.5. And it went over anyways. 63 points they scored. So the correct bet was Atlanta in the over. Atlanta winning 34-29. Jameis's return. And this was, man, they both shredded each other. Jameis, 41 attempts, 30 completions for 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Matty Ice is nice. 31 completions on 41 attempts. 354, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Elite quarterback play witnessed in this game. Elite quarterback play. Ridley catching more touchdowns. Or Ridley didn't catch touchdown. It was Sanu caught the touchdown. Hooper and Coleman. But Ridley's nice. He made clutch plays out there again. And Julio, say what you want about him not having touchdowns. 14 targets, 10 catches, 143 yards. And both these defenses were awful, awful, awful. Like, I can't say it enough. The feeling watching this games were both defenses were so terrible that I didn't know whether either offense I was watching was actually good or the defenses were just that bad. Because it was Julio Jones was running around wide open multiple times. The best receiver in the NFL is running around unguarded multiple times. So that's how bad, like super bad. They're dropping 7 in coverage and have guys wide open still. So I don't know what is happening with either of the squads. I think some of it has to do with what I was talking about earlier is the defensive coordinators not being new school enough, not have gotten the GMs too, where they're not getting the right personnel to handle the type of looks that they're getting on offense in the new school NFL. So the name of this one was the Bucs had all the chances in the world to win this one, but too many picks in the red zone. Jameis threw picks at the worst times when they had points. They had points, and Jameis turned the ball over. And he's got to be frustrated to a point because his career has been, a lot of it his own doing, but it's been up and down. And I think the best thing for Jameis would be a fresh start somewhere else. When his contract's up, I recommend if there's anywhere in the world that you ever hear this Jameis Winston, move when your contract's up. Go to a better system with better coaches, and you will be the fucking man. You will be the man and a half. Shit, go to Gruden after the Bucs. Gruden loved to take you in, and he will make you nice. But something is lacking there in Tampa Bay, and I can see the frustration all over the dude. You can see it in his play. You can see it on him. He's just coming off suspension again. So, famous Jameis, man. Mike Evans, where are you, bro? Mike, I mean, this is why I feel Jameis has got to be frustrated to a point. He's got weapons around him. They scored 40 points. It's just terrible, terrible, terrible defense. And Mike caught some passes. Mike made a terrible. They tried to. The Tampa Bay tried a trick play at the end where they tried some laterals and weird backward throws, and Mike Evans made the worst throw ever to Deshaun Jackson. And they had a shot at the win off the trick plays. It was a little disappointing. It was like he threw it with his left hand or something. What's up, Mike? You're supposed to also be elite, and Mike Evans is elite. That's what's crazy that, But again, they scored almost. Well, let's get say they only scored 30 points, 29. But there was 2 touchdowns left on the board by the Buccaneers, and that's how I saw it. Is Matty Ice is nice. He's doing his thing. No questions about Atlanta's offense. They can definitely get it done. They can get it done multiple ways. But the defense, man, and both of these Ds, if it come down to a single guy or a single part of it, like it's the secondary or it's the D line, we could break it down a little bit and talk about it. But there's multiple defenses where you can't even have the discussion of how fucked up it is because it's just terrible. Like, what do you want to? It's a mess everywhere, and you don't even know what's causing what at that point. Is the lack of pass rush causing the bad coverage, or is the bad coverage causing, creative play calling that doesn't allow for pass rush? And it's just that was my takeaway from this game is, wow, what horrible defenses. Are these offenses even good, or is it just the defense is so terrible that, this is what it looks like? The next game is Broncos-Rams. Find it here. And it was the Rams were -7 at home. Or sorry, the Broncos were home dog, +7 at home, and the over/under was 50, and it was under. And it was under. It was cold. It was cold in Denver, and here I'm trying to bring my stats up here. 43 points, and the Broncos hung in there on this one, and a lot of people didn't even expect that. You have the Rams, and you got Donald. You got the Donald and Donkey Kong on the D line, which is just filthy. Who's? I don't even know what you tell your O line. You're like, all right, you're gonna have Donkey Kong, and you're gonna have the Donald. Get it done. And then in the game, Goff 14-28, but he's putting it on the money all day. He didn't need to score. He didn't need to throw touchdowns. He just needed to manage his throws correctly and get Todd Gurley the football. Todd Gurley is. He reminds me. He's the new school Eric Dickerson. New school Eric Dickerson. He kind of looks and runs. He runs bigger though. He looks like a bigger Dickerson. It's crazy, and he's just doing his thing all day. Like it looked like a man amongst boys. He had gold shoes on. Gurley gold shoes. Shout out Gurley gold shoes. Woods and Cup are just filthy, and Goff's dropping dimes on him. McVay's putting him in. It's just such a good football team. Such a good football team top to bottom. The coach is doing his thing. The quarterbacks are doing his thing. The receivers are doing their thing. And it centers around an amazing running back in Todd Gurley. 28 attempts for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also a couple catches for 17 yards. That's actually Todd Gurley's best game ever is the 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. His first 200 rushing yard game ever. But this was an interesting game to watch because both O-lines struggled. It wasn't just the Donald and Donkey Kong on one side. It was, Denver has a nice defense, and Denver's defense was applying pressure all day and they're making it hard on Goff to get those throws off. And apparently, Vance Joseph hasn't been calling Denver's defense throughout the season. He's just been head coaching duties. But this guy is a defensive-minded head coach, and he's been getting criticism in the press, so he stepped up and called the defense this game. And wow, he did a really good job. I was wondering, what is this guy good at when they brought him in? And here we finally saw it. Like, he called a nice defense, and they contained the Rams. I mean, you'd say Todd Gurley got 200 yards rushing, but he did it on almost 30 carries and only 1 touchdown, or two touchdowns. But Who contains Todd Gurley? You contained the Rams offense about the best as that you could hope to contain it, and forced them to have to workhorse Gurley. And unfortunately, that was too much as well. But the Broncos D did a really good job. But that D doesn't look disciplined. They don't look concise. It doesn't look like those championship defenses from a few years ago. And I think a lot of things start pointing to the coaching when you start examining the Broncos because they have weapons. Philip Lindsay's a little pleasant surprise too there. Kid from CU. He's the new inconvenient truth where, you don't look at this guy and expect anything to happen. He busts one out for 20 or 30 yards. Keenum, 25 of 41 for 322 and a touchdown. One interception. Case Keenum reminds me a lot of Jake Plummer, the Plum Rod. Like the decision-making wise, where they'll make kind of like the Andy Dalton too, where it's like yes, no. I think if Keenum could get into the right system with the right coach, he could do really, really well. But this is not that system, and Vance Joseph is not that coach. Joseph is not a great head coach so far. You can be defensive-minded head coach, but it needs to be just not seeing it from this guy. You're looking at your team and you're like, who looks really nice on the Broncos? McManus, their kicker. He looked pretty consistent. He looks nice. And Emmanuel Sanders, he had a long catch and went down on the one, rolled in, came up John and pulled the flag and then called the NFL soft. So you got dudes in the offense jawing and going off and getting personal fouls, and the defense kind of looking all over the place, and lack of weapons on offense. It's not looking great for the Broncos. They're another team where they're like the slightly better version of the Browns right now. And a huge issue on the Broncos too. Before we move on from the Broncos, we can't not talk about Garrett Bowles a little bit. He's an offensive lineman for the Broncos, and talk about a liability. How does this guy have a job? There's no other offensive lineman out there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, try and find any film on Garrett Bowles. It doesn't need to be so specific. Just watch him anytime you want, in any situation. In whether it's pass block or run block or anything, he will always do the wrong thing. He will always fail, and he will create advantage where there was none just by his presence. So, shout out Garrett Bowles if you're a Rams fan. If you're a Broncos fan, shit, raises some questions. Questions about the decision-making of the management when you have somebody of that caliber on your team, and he's in a game. That guy should never be in a game. Maybe I'm coming down a little too hard on the dude, but I don't think so. Go watch it. Run the tape. Run the tape. I challenge anyone to run the tape on Garrett Bowles, and then you tell me what you think, and tell me if I'm overreacting in the slightest. But I don't think I am. All right, so the next game is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Tennessee Titans. Oh, man. This was – I don't even know. Let's see if I just refresh these stats here if they come up. Okay, here we go. So it was Tennessee was a home dog plus 2.5, and the over-under was 43. It was under. It was 21-0. 21-0 Baltimore. So the correct bet was Baltimore and the under, and this was a shit kicking. This was, I don't even know. This raised a lot of questions about Tennessee and what's going on there, and questions about their coach, questions about the organization. I literally had the thought watching this game, I wondered, is Tennessee for sale? Are they trying to sell the team and move it somewhere? Or like, what is happening here where you have Marcus Mariota and they're injured, 10 completions on 15 attempts for 100 yards. And he's sacked, I don't know even how many it was. It was more than 10, 11 times, I think. Yeah, 11 sacks. 11 sacks. He got his shit pushed in. So I haven't seen a beating, an outright beating like that since there was a Raiders-Seahawks game on Monday night back in the game where Andrew Walter was the quarterback. And he was getting hit so hard and so often that I just shut the game off. I couldn't watch. And this game was basically like that. It was, if you were a Titans fan, I don't think any Titans fan watched it start to finish. Impossible. You're a weird sadist if you're a Titans fan and you watched this start to finish, because it was hard to watch. You worried about Mariota's health at a point. You just wanted it to stop. It's the worst offense I've seen since that Raiders team on Monday night with Andrew Walter. Nothing really to say about Tennessee. It looked so piss poor. That's what I mean. I wondered, are they trying to sell the team? Is there something else going on? Is there a reason that it's devolved into this? Lots of questions for Tennessee. Lots of questions, and it's so bad again that I don't even dare speculate. There's so much bad correlation going on, I can't even speculate on what's wrong in Tennessee. They're fucked. Baltimore side, though, saw a lot of good things from that defense. That defense is for real. Like, Baltimore's D is always for real. Let's be real. Let's be real about the realness of Baltimore's real D, because it's outrageous. They're number one in everything. Across the board, if you want to look at Baltimore's defensive stats, they're putting it on everybody, them in Buffalo. And it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch that caliber of defense take apart an offense as bad as Tennessee's. And I had questions that Tennessee actually beat any. I had to look. At a moment, I forgot everything I knew about Tennessee and thought, have they even won any games? And then I look and they've won games. And geez, how does this team beat anyone? Or is it that Baltimore is so dominant that they make a below average NFL team look like, they're playing a college team? Baltimore's offense, Flacco, he looks calm, cool, collected. Looks like he's been doing this thing for a long time. Crabtree still got hands. I mean, many. Anyone that plays with Crabtree comes away saying, man, that guy's got the best hands I've ever seen. He did have 93 yards and a touchdown. Targeting Snead the fourth a ton, too. 10 targets for 7 catches. Those are Flacco's 2 targets. Is Crabtree and Snead is all he's looking. That's all he's looking for, and he's getting it. At least in this game, he was getting it. Flacco did his Flacco thing, 25 of 37 for 238 and a touchdown and a pick, which is, that's what you get from Joe Flacco. There's no mysteries there. But yeah, I mean, Baltimore's offense doesn't have a whole lot to talk about. So it was just really just like a beatdown. It felt like a bully. It felt like a big kid beating on some little kid for an hour is what that game felt like. Is just, some big bully had cornered some kid and slapped his books out of his hand and was just punching him in the arm over and over and over until the kid finally started to cry, and then it was over. But no teacher came to save the Titans, unfortunately. The next game let's talk about is the Jags and the boys. And this game was Dallas, a home dog, +3. and 39.5 over and under. This game was interesting to think about pre-game, like how you wanted to bet on this one. Because, you got Dallas a home dog, and that's good. That's a good thing. You're like, but then you've seen Dallas's offense all the previous games before this week and thought, man, they're terrible. You had to have had that thought multiple times watching Dallas's offense in the previous weeks. Except for Zeke. Sorry, Zeke. Zeke, you're always the man, no matter what offense, what coach, what team. Zeke, 24 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown in this game. Dak Prescott, 11 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown in this game. So Dak's been looking like total shit. So they've taken the training wheels off. Well, not the training wheels. They've let him run. Or even told him to run. Which for Dak, I feel like this is the beginning of the end for Dak. Where how long can he run like this till he's hurt? 3 more games? 4 more games? 7 games? Will he be able to run like this all through the playoffs? I don't know. Who's the backup in Dallas? Better figure that out quick. You're going to know his name. You're going to know the backup in Dallas's name real quick. So, watching this game, Cowboys came out pumped. Cowboys were ready for this. So some sort of talking to was had because that was a hard game they lost against Houston. That was a battle in Texas, and there's huge rivalry in Texas between Dallas and Houston. Huge amounts of money were won and lost during that game in interstate betting, and the money behind just those cities and the money behind those cities that wants to put that money towards sports to show their dominance over the city in Texas is ridiculous. So it was a big deal that they lost to Houston, and that was a game they really wanted to win. I don't think the media blew that up as big a deal as that game was in Texas, because that game was a big deal in Texas. And Houston has Texas dominance now, not the Cowboys until they play again. They have the trophy. So that was a street fight, that game. And, I worried for the Cowboys a little bit coming out of that. Like, will they be able to bounce back? And, if the answer is yes, they absolutely bounced back. They came out pumped. They came out fast. There was a run at the end of the second half where they handed it to Zeke, and he came in from 20 yards out. And it looked so fast. The speed of the play and the speed of Zeke, it looked like 100 miles an hour. The linemen, everything. It looked unstoppable. That it was some sort of stretch play, I think. But when I watched it, it was wow, look how unstoppable that is. And that's what we haven't been seeing from Dallas as much so far this year. Well, the lack of a number one is hard for any team to deal with, and so many teams are trying to do it. That's what I don't understand too. Is Cole Beasley, 9 catches, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cole Beasley, dog on the porch. So the Cowboys came out and did their thing. Dak running opened up everything, which that will work for the Cowboys going forward because of Zeke. You have Zeke, and if you're going to run Dak like that, that will open up the offense 100% guaranteed. What it will open up also is a huge injury risk for Dak, and that will happen 100%. So it's high risk, high reward. Good luck with it, though, Cowboys. On Jacksonville's side of the ball, Blake Bortles looks like total shit. He looks worse than Dak. They both look like shit out there. But Blake Bortles looks like extra shit. Man, there was a meme that even came out about it where it shows Ramsey staring off in space confused, and it says, and you talk shit about every QB in the league, and then you realize your own quarterback is Blake Bortles. And that sums it up, man. The offense is so awkward that the receivers don't even know where the ball is. And there was a play, and I don't know if it was a shovel or what it was. Blake Bortles hit a guy right in the face with the ball, and the receiver had no idea where he was, where the ball was coming from. It was so awkward he couldn't even catch a perfectly thrown ball. And that about sums up the Jags' offense. It's like It's like it's designed by somebody who's never designed an offense before. It's that bad where you look at it and go, oh, lack of Fournette doesn't help, but again, another quarterback that's never going to win anything. Blake Bortles is never going to win anything, it's him and Bortles and Trubisky are like the stepbrothers, They're not quarterbacks, just to let you know. So it seems that some people have mistaken Blake Bortles for here's my meme. Some people have mistaken Blake Bortles for a quarterback. It's not a very funny meme, but shit's real. And the Jags defense, so much talent, so the highest level of talent, and they're so hot and cold. So what this points me to, when a team has this much talent, when they're this far above every other team athletically, but they're hot and cold like this, it's coaching. It's coaching and lack of structure, lack of discipline. Defenses are wild. It's filled with a bunch of wild-ass alpha dudes. They're fucking crazy. They're in there to blow shit up. And if you don't put military-style structure around an NFL defense, it'll act exactly like the Jags D. So this is a great case study, honestly, for, okay, let's do the thought experiment. Let's create a team with unimaginable physical and athletic talent on defense. And you have all the elements you need to have one of the most dominant defenses ever seen in the National Football League. And now you're seeing it, no lack of consistency. So why is there lack of consistency? And that goes directly to coaching. And it's obvious why, because the coaches are getting shuffled around in Jacksonville. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what their identity is. They don't have a system they can trust in place on offense or on defense, for that matter. I think there is such a lack of intelligence inside the Jacksonville Jaguars leadership that the team is getting wins on athletic prowess alone. I think that they're not setting up to succeed on offense or on defense, and that the Jacksonville D is just so nasty that they just put up anyways. It doesn't matter. You can't hold them back. You can't hold them down. And so this is what we're seeing. We're seeing, Jacksonville, I don't know if it's wild right now, and you can tell it's wild in there. If they can gel and come together and find an identity and rally behind it, they need to rally behind a coach is what they need to do. They need to rally behind a philosophy and an ideology on offense that they believe will take them to win. And if they don't do that, and it's 500 this year, Jaguars, I don't want to bet on the Jags anymore this year. I have no confidence on what I'm going to get out of them because of the things I just said. I don't think there's any structure behind the wins. I think the team's winning on athleticism alone, and that makes them scary and unpredictable to me. But at the end of the day, this game, Cowboys roll 40-7. Jags never had a chance. Their offense never could get started. Zeke ran all over them. Dak ran all over them. They looked confused. They looked not ready for the Cowboys. They looked like when Dak ran, they didn't know what to do. It was pretty bad. Also on the Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch. This dude, he flies around and makes some tackles, man. Flying Dutchman, man. This guy, watch out. Watch out. Watch out for that blonde. Watch out for the blonde hair and blue eyes on the defensive side of the ball. Come up and lay some wood. But he's filling in nicely for Sean Lee. So that's about it for that one. So now we're to, I don't know, which one should I do? Kansas City first or San Francisco? Let's talk about Packers San Francisco first, and that was last night, and then let's talk about Kansas City last because there's the most to say about the Patriots Chiefs Probably. Game last night, beat hard. Beathard hanging in there, man. 16 to 23 or 245, 2 TDs and a pick. Managed the game well. He scored when he needed to. Kept him in it. San Fran is what it is without, Garoppolo. Who knows if he's going to come back? That's weird when you injure yourself by just running. That's not a good sign. But I was wildly surprised by how bad the Packers looked in this game. I think everyone was, where everyone had this marked off as, Green Bay's going to roll the 49ers. I think the 49ers are a little bit I don't think we've given John Lynch enough credit for the team he's assembling there and the quality of talent that maybe he has that we're unaware of. I think a lot of the flyby names on the San Francisco 49ers are maybe higher quality players than we think they are. Just because they're maybe not, highlight positions or big stat guys. I think quietly Lynch and Shanahan are assembling a really good team. But right now, that said, San Francisco has the worst turnover margin in the whole NFL. Just absolutely awful. Green Bay's offense looks like total shit too, though. And that's what we saw. Like, watching Green Bay's offense, I had a feeling that with a little worse defense, they would be Indy. Maybe they are Indy now. After watching this game, maybe they are Indy now. And is it another small market thing? Are they rebuilding? That's where I'm also confused with what the way forward for Green Bay is right now. Like, why are they not putting money around Aaron Rodgers to go win right now? Like, in his prime, he can, Aaron Rodgers can win games for you right now. He needs fast receivers and some secondary. They won't give it to him. So the team, zero weapons. The only thing, everyone on the Packers is interchangeable except for Aaron Rodgers on the offense, where I had counted him out multiple times. I was surprised that they clawed back. Devontae Adams, man, that guy's clutch. He's clutch for them. But there was multiple times during the game I was like, they're done. San Francisco's going to beat them. They looked beaten by San Francisco the entire game. And it took a last-minute Aaron Rodgers miracle drive at the end to win it. They lost. San Francisco beat Green Bay all day last night. They beat them all day. Packers only got 6 points off the first two. San Francisco turned it over twice early, and they only got 6 points off of it. The Packers' offense is not good. And their defense is suspect to me, too. They're not a very good team this year. Sorry. Marquise Goodwin, though, he turned on the Jets at the end. Beathard hit him. Five targets for 4 catches, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. Marquise Goodwin. Representing for San Francisco. And the Aaron Rodgers faces throughout the game, too. You can tell that half the problem at Green Bay is Aaron Rodgers for the frustration with things. You can see it. You can see it all over him. You can see it on the sideline. You can see it in the little faces he makes. You can see it that shit's contagious. Other players pick up on that, you got Baker Mayfield running in, woo, boy, let's do this. The receivers get pumped up too. If you're sitting over there like, your Eeyore on the end of the bench, woe is Rodgers. They never give me fast receivers or running back. My O-line's not even good now. 3rd down again. You're never going to win with that mentality, Rodgers. Suck it up. Suck it up. You're in a football city of the greatest football fans in the world. People have to die before they get season tickets there. Someone has to die before you. It's like trying to be a fireman in New York or something is getting tickets to the Green Bay Packers. So you cannot be more beloved in any other city you play with anywhere in the National Football League. Like, the cheeseheads love you through and through. Suck it up. I mean, it looks piss poor. I understand that you're frustrated and shit, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It happens to all of us, bro. I'm frustrated right now. Aaron Rodgers. So 33-30 was the final score. The Green Bay ultimately winning on a last-second miraculous drive. Aaron Rodgers hitting Devontae Adams, hooking up for a touchdown at the very end of the game. But like I was saying, the 49ers beat the Packers handedly the entire game. It took a miraculous Aaron Rodgers moment for the win. Barring that, it wasn't going to happen. All right, so we finally reach the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots. And this was hyped all week. They actually created a little montage before the game where they're showing it, the GOAT versus the future. And they showed little montages of Mahomes and Brady and cut it all together to not only tell you the narrative, but also show you the narrative as well. And it's a narrative we all liked. We did all want to see Patrick Mahomes, man. Big arm alert. Big arm alert. We got a big arm in the room. Got a big arm in the room. Big arm alert. Man, Patrick Mahomes is the gun. He's a real gunslinger. Like when you talk about, that's why we all like him. The rest of the mechanics and everything. If we're going to talk about pure quarterback, Andy Reid knows what Patrick Mahomes' flaws are as a quarterback. You bet your ass he does. If you ask Andy Reid, tell me everything that's wrong with Mahomes' play, he probably immediately gets his, indigestion, his acid reflux gets up. Because Andy Reid knows what every problem, all of his problems. But what he is, why we love him, why he's nasty, is he's a real gunslinger. Like when they use the term, when they call other guys like, oh, he's got that gunslinger type, they're talking about Mahomes. That's where the term comes from, is watching a guy like him throw, and you go, wow, he a rubber arm. He throws it any way he wants. It's the baseball background, 100%. Like they ask him about, you throwing too many balls? He's like, I pitched. You know what that means? You know how hard I threw, how many times? So this is nothing, and he is like flinging a baseball. He wings it, and it's so fun to watch. You feel the exact opposite with when you watch, Bortles. Patrick Mahomes, you get excited, and then he gives you what you want. He slangs that motherfucker in there. That's supposed to drop the MF bomb. Sorry, get excited. But yeah, big arm in the room, man. We should start calling him the future. I like the future for him because he is the future. We're gonna be watching him slang that rock, another dead from here on out, and it's gonna be good times. So. And Mahomes came out jacked. You could tell in the beginning of the game, he was so pumped up that there were some high throws and some energy throws. And it also gives me the season. So I like homers. And I don't think this happens enough in the NFL, where I think if VY, this is my speculation, that I believe if VY would have got drafted by the Texans, I think he would have had a much better career. I think the hometown vibe and that he was already a local hero and all that things would have just played positively into his learning curve. Not that VY's learning curve is very good, but it would have helped. Anything would have helped other than going to Tennessee. That was the worst spot for him. And I like when homers come home. So that said, how these two Texas squads not know what's up with Patrick Mahomes? How do the Texans, the Texans drafted Sean Watson, sure, but how do the Cowboys, it's a tough shot after knowing what we know now, Jerry Jones. Do you take Mahomes or do you take Zeke with that pick? Knowing what we know now and knowing what we know about Dak, do we take Mahomes or do we take Zeke? Because could have been a Texas legend, and that's the story I root for and the story I like. I like when a guy, he's a hometown hero and then he plays for that team and does well on that team, whatever pro team it is. It's always a good story, and the fans love it too. So just saying, you should always be waking up in the middle of the night, Jerry Jones, and seeing Mahomes in a boys jersey and realizing how much he screwed up. You know who didn't screw up? Andy Reid, the walrus cuckoo, who I think is one of the best head coaches in college football. Defensively, not so much, but as far as head coaches go and knowing how to get a team to a championship, Andy Reid's your guy. And sky's the limit with this squad with Andy. He's got so many weapons around him. He has potentially, who I'm going to just say, right now, Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in the NFL. No one is more dangerous. No one is more feared. Defenses don't adjust to anyone as much as they do Tyreek Hill. You'll see the whole defensive coverage slide to Tyreek's side. Extra attention every time. In this game against the Patriots, he had 7 catches for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt's the Patriots' kryptonite. Kareem Hunt, 10 carries, 80 yards, 5 catches, 105 yards for a touchdown. Mahomes, 23 of 36, 352, 4 touchdowns. He had the 2 picks. The 2 picks were those nerves in the beginning, man. It's a big stage, and you play the Patriots at home. We don't know what that entails. There's always something goes wrong for the opposing team when you play the Patriots at home. You know, your headsets don't work, or your hotel's fire alarm gets pulled, or something. You know, something out of the ordinary throws you off your game. So, you know, maybe the Patriots poisoned his food to make him a little jumpy in the first half. You never know when you're playing the Patriots. Tyreek, let's talk more about Tyreek, man. He runs away from everybody, and I love the deuces. Tyreek's deuces, he's deucing everybody. He's deucing on everybody. And that's just the truth. And if anybody has anyone that they honestly want to put up right now in this moment next to Tyreek Hill and say that's a better receiver, I'd like to know who you think that is, because he's the realness right now. He's the fastest. If he touches the ball, you better be worried. And they were worried. Belichick game planned KC down like Belichick does. He did everything he was supposed to do. He had it ingrained into his players' heads what they were supposed to do, and made sure they executed. They jammed Kelsey all night, didn't let him get out there, so they took Kelsey away. They put out creative coverages to confuse the kid, and Belichick came ready. Even it seemed like Kareem Hunt had extra attention all night too, and almost had like a spy on him every time. But Kareem Hunt still tore him up, man. The Draymond Smith, and so if we're gonna go quarter by quarter with this game, we're starting off at the beginning, and we're looking at, tight end matchups are gonna be a big deal. We got the 2 best tight ends, Gronk versus Kelsey, and comes out and it's not looking good for the Chiefs. And Patriots go big, go up early, and Tom Brady's just doing his thing like he always does. And they're up 24-9, even starting the third quarter. Through the whole first half, the Patriots shut it down. They confused Mahomes enough in the red zone where he had to take 3 field goals with his first 3 attempts down driving. And New England played lights out. They had no penalties, no punts. And that's a rarity. I don't know how long that's been since that happened in the NFL. But it doesn't happen very often. Not at all. Josh Gordon, man, I hate that the Patriots got him because he looks good. He doesn't look in shape. He looks winded out there, but he's going to get more in shape, and he's going to get more comfortable in that offense, and it's going to be nasty for the Patriots, I tell you what. Josh Gordon is going to be the biggest addition to their offense, period. He's going to the last half of the season, Josh Gordon puts up Pro Bowl numbers, 100%. So this game, like I was saying, this game was in the Patriots' hands for most part of the game, but you could feel the Chiefs. You could feel the Chiefs coming back the entire time. It was almost right there. And then initially, the first pick coming down for Kansas City was a big one too. Mahomes chucked a pick to Hightower early in the game. Oh, and by the way, Flowers on Patriots defense lit up. He blocked a guy where he laid the law down on that. If you watch that in the replay, it is hardcore. But anyways, Hightower picked Mahomes early, and that really changed. That really gave the Patriots just what they needed. Tom marched right down, scored a touchdown. And then overall, the Patriots just did what they do. They dinked and dunked it all day. Sonny Michel, they ran the ball great. They ran a ton of it as soon as they got up. 24 carries, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns for Sonny Michel. And it was just it was managed too well. It was just a top-tier team doing their thing, managing the game. Tom hucked up some wobbly. He hucked it up to Gronk. Some of those passes I don't know how are not picked yet, but I guess it's the Tom Brady magic where you just hop up that wobbly duck and, touchdown. It's back and forth. Mahomes is doing what he's doing, and at the end of the game, Brady's 2-minute drill, and it was no problem to get in the field goal range. I knew it when the Chiefs scored and they gave him the ball back. It's almost 2 minutes for Brady just to get in the field goal range. And he did it like the old vet field general that he is. He did it calm, cool, collected. They marched downfield. They executed the plays that they know they're supposed to execute. And the thing is it almost looked so devoid of emotion for the Patriots is because by that point they had figured the Chiefs out. I think that Belichick had the Chiefs figured out before they even played the game as far as what they were going to be able to do on offense against their Chiefs D. Because the Chiefs D is Swiss cheese. There's holes everywhere for Belichick to abuse. So it's not a problem to move the ball. And the Chiefs are another one with this horrendous defense where it's not a problem to move a ball for a guy like Belichick against these Swiss cheese defenses. If you have 1 or 2 holes, maybe you can do some creative things to patch those holes. But if you have holes everywhere, Belichick's going to, we're not worried about getting in field goal range. So, while it was a great drive, it was nothing special because, again, was it a great drive or is the Kansas City defense just that bad? I'm not seeing special things come out from the Patriots offense. They're running the ball, which maybe they're not expecting because teams don't really run as much. But overall, it was nice to see Mahomes on a big stage finally and see how he held up. And he held up fine. It could have been just as easily. He had drives where it could have been just as easily 6 touchdowns instead of 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. I just got alerted my computer storage. So Mahomes did his thing, and can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see more from him. And it's going to be exciting to see him mature. And that's it for all the games from last week. So I think what we're going to do now is, in the next couple of days, I'm going to do another one where we talk about next week's matchups and talk about all the lines and go over some of the games to try and get everybody's info in order before everyone makes their bets on the weekend. And ultimately, what I'd like to try and do is, it'd be great if we can get any viewers or any listeners to this. Ultimately, I'd like to start some sort of Patreon or GoFundMe where we can get a pool of money together and bet it on the podcast, and then the winnings we can donate to a charity of some sort, whether it's NFL players, retired players that need money for health care or whatever. We can we can all decide together what charity the money should go for. But I thought that would be something interesting that we can potentially do if it works out that way. But beyond that, I'm going to just be talking football for the next couple days, and we'll try and do another couple of casts out in the next couple days talking about all the upcoming games. If you made it all the way through, thank you so much for listening all the way through. Can't believe you made it. And subscribe and hit the bell if you can. Every little bit helps, and we're just starting out, and hopefully there'll be more to come. Thank you very much.